Most people don't realize just how quickly we tend to open up to others. Studies suggest that the average person will reveal something personal to someone new within their very first 3 conversations. It's almost as if human beings are hardwired for connection, an instinct to move beyond shallow pleasantries and let others glimpse the person we truly are beneath the surface. For many, there's an almost therapeutic relief in finally expressing something authentic, as if they've been holding their breath for far too long and can now release it in one deep, cleansing exhale. Yet, this natural desire to connect comes with a risk. What happens when every attempt at vulnerability is met with disappointment? What happens when lowering your emotional defenses doesn't lead to deeper trust, but instead exposes you to betrayal, gossip, or the realization that the person you confided in never deserved your trust to begin with? For most people, these experiences are shrugged off as the unavoidable cost of human relationships, and so they press on, still chasing that elusive sense of connection. Sigma males, however, operate differently because life has taught them a harsher truth. Through a series of painful encounters, they've learned that letting someone into their inner world is rarely worth the aftermath. It's not that they are cold, antisocial, or incapable of intimacy. Rather, they have seen firsthand the damage that comes from giving the wrong people access to their unfiltered thoughts and emotions. For them, revealing too much is not an act of closeness. It is an act of exposure. And exposure, in their experience, is dangerous. To a Sigma male, every moment of honesty carries weight, because it is more than just sharing. It is handing someone a loaded weapon that could one day be turned against them. This is why they approach openness with calculated caution. In the sections that follow, we'll explore 6 powerful reasons why these men so often regret opening up, and why their self-protective walls are not built from fear, but from the wisdom of experience. 1. They realized the connection was one-sided. The illusion of mutual understanding. Every human being longs for that rare, almost magical connection where 2 souls seem to understand each other without effort. It's the kind of bond where conversations feel natural, values align, and both people contribute equally to relationships' growth. While such connections are rare for most, they are even more uncommon in the life of a Sigma male, partly because he is highly selective about who he lets close. When a Sigma male does find someone he believes is worthy of that closeness, he doesn't hold back. He remembers the small details others might overlook, shows up without hesitation in moments of need, and offers genuine support during both struggles and victories. To him, this is not casual friendliness. It's a deliberate choice to make space in his carefully protected world for someone else. And because he does this so rarely, his investment carries a weight and sincerity that few ever truly grasp. The brutal awakening. The painful truth surfaces when the Sigma male eventually finds himself in need of the same care and commitment he is given, only to discover that the connection has always been one-sided. While he has been pouring his time, emotional energy, and undivided attention into the relationship, the other person has been happily accepting without reciprocating. When he's struggling, they're suddenly too busy to listen. When he seeks genuine advice, the responses are shallow and dismissive. When he shares something exciting, the enthusiasm is lukewarm, almost obligatory. In that moment, it becomes painfully clear the person who seemed so connected wasn't actually invested in the bond. They were simply enjoying the benefits of having someone deeply committed to them without giving anything in return. The betrayal of self-judgment. For a Sigma male, this realization cuts deeper than ordinary disappointment. He doesn't just feel let down, he feels betrayed by his own judgment. Trusting someone enough to open up is rare for him, and to learn that the special bond he believed in was nothing more than him unknowingly offering free emotional labor feels like being blindsided. It's not just about losing connection. It's about realizing he misread the entire relationship. 2. Their trust feels like a mistake, not a gift. The rush of being chosen. There's a unique kind of joy that lights up someone's face when they realize you just entrusted them with something deeply personal. Something you've never told anyone else. For most people, this creates a sense of honor, as though they've been chosen to hold something rare and valuable. In healthy relationships, this moment strengthens trust, deepens the bond, and inspires the listener to protect that vulnerability with care. The reality of information as a weapon. Unfortunately, in today's world, not everyone values trust in this way. Some people treat personal information like a form of social currency, collecting others' secrets, fears, and private thoughts, not out of care or empathy, but because they recognize the power that comes with knowing them. For these individuals, your trust is not a sacred bond. It's a potential advantage they can use when it serves them. The moment the Sigma male confides in such a person, the information is mentally filed away. Maybe it will be pulled out during a heated argument months later, used as a verbal weapon to hit where it hurts most. Maybe it will be shared in casual conversation with friends to make the storyteller seem more intriguing. Or maybe it will be subtly thrown back at him the first time they truly clash. The immediate regret. While many people only realize months later that their trust has been misplaced, Sigma males tend to feel the creeping regret almost instantly. It's as though, the moment the words leave their mouth, an instinctive alarm goes off in their mind, warning them that they've given something valuable to someone who will not treat it with respect. The true sting comes when hindsight kicks in. Every small red flag they overlooked, every moment they excused or dismissed, suddenly stands out in perfect clarity. And as they replay the interaction in their mind, they can't escape the thought that they should have known better. 3. People confuse kindness with weakness. Kindness from strength, not need. For a Sigma male, kindness is never a product of insecurity or craving for external validation. It's an intentional expression of his values. He helps others because he chooses to, not because he's trying to win favor. His consideration is born from strength, not need, and is offered without expecting anything in return. This kind of kindness is deliberate, measured, and rooted in self-respect. The misinterpretation. Yet, the moment he allows people to see the softer, more compassionate side, some make a dangerous miscalculation. They interpret it as a sign of weakness. They assume that because he treats people with patience and understanding, he can be pushed further without consequence. This misunderstanding often emboldens individuals to test boundaries they would never have dared to cross before. The erosion of respect. Over time, the respect that initially drew them to him begins to fade. Subtle changes in behavior appear. People start asking for favors that exceed reasonable limits, expecting him to bend rules or extend special treatment just for them. Some even convince themselves they can get away with disrespect or manipulative behavior because his kindness will keep him from calling them out. For the Sigma male, this creates a painful internal conflict. He must decide whether to set firm boundaries and risk damaging the relationship, or to continue tolerating the exploitation at the cost of his own self-respect. Neither choice is without consequence, and both often leave him wishing he had never revealed this gentler aspect of himself in the first place. For vulnerability opens a door to disappointment. The power and risk of vulnerability. Vulnerability, as many psychologists like Brené Brown have pointed out, is the birthplace of courage, creativity, and genuine transformation. It is a bridge that connects two people on a deeper, more meaningful level. Sigma males understand this concept well, yet they are far from reckless with it. They don't pour their hearts out to anyone willing to listen. Instead, they spend weeks or even months observing a person before deciding whether it's safe to let them in. When they finally choose to open up, it's a calculated act of trust. They may reveal a fear that has lingered in the back of their mind for years, an old failure they've carried quietly, or an uncertainty they rarely acknowledge. In that moment, they're offering something rare, an unfiltered glimpse into their inner world, the crushing letdown. But when the recipient of that vulnerability proves unworthy, the fallout is devastating. Instead of responding with empathy and understanding, some react in ways that erode the very trust that was just established. They might grow visibly uncomfortable, unsure how to reconcile the image of the strong, composed Sigma with this unexpected display of humanity. In some cases, admiration shifts into pity, or worse, condescension. Others may begin treating him differently, as if he now needs constant reassurance or guidance. This reaction cuts deeply because it affirms the Sigma's greatest fear, that people respect him more when they only know the surface, not the truth beneath it. The painful lesson becomes clear. When struggles remained private, he was admired for his composure and independence. But once they were exposed, the perception shifted, and the respect he once commanded began to crumble. 5. They miss who they were before letting someone in. The unshakable sense of self. before allowing anyone into their private world. Sigma males typically possess a rock-solid sense of identity. They know who they are, what they value, and where they're going. Their decisions are guided by internal principles rather than the shifting expectations of others. They don't rely on compliments, approval, or validation to feel secure. Contentment comes from self-trust and living in alignment with their own beliefs. This inner stability is one of their greatest strengths, the slow erosion of autonomy. However, opening the door to someone else inevitably alters the landscape of their inner life. It doesn't happen all at once. It creeps in quietly, almost unnoticeably at first. They begin factoring in the other person's feelings before making choices that once came easily. Situations that used to be approached with clarity now feel layered with new considerations. The mental space once reserved for personal ambitions and goals starts to fill with someone else's problems, emotions, and priorities. Even the simplest decisions, where to go, how to spend time, what to focus on, become more complicated when filtered through another person's perspective. The internal conflict. On one hand, the Sigma male values the fact that this person matters enough to influence his thoughts. It means there's a connection strong enough to shift his one solitary existence. Yet on the other hand, he can't ignore the quiet grief that comes with losing the simplicity he once enjoyed. He finds himself wrestling with a difficult question. Is it truly possible to care deeply about someone without surrendering pieces of myself along the way? 6. Their loyalty isn't matched, just used. The depth of Sigma loyalty. Psychologists have long observed that human beings can only maintain a small number of truly close, high-investment relationships, often no more than 5 at any given time. For Sigma males, this reality makes loyalty even more sacred. When they commit to someone, it isn't just about offering emotional support. It's about showing up in tangible, often self-sacrificing ways. They will turn down promising opportunities if those opportunities would come at the expense of your success. They will step out of their own comfort zone, sometimes even endure personal hardship, to help you through challenges. They will defend you in your absence, shutting down gossip or criticism before it gains traction. Their loyalty is not a casual promise. It is a lived commitment, the harsh reality of one-sided commitment. But this depth of loyalty can become a source of painful disillusionment when they realize it isn't being reciprocated. When the Sigma male finds himself in need, whether for support, protection, or even just a reassuring presence, he often discovers the other person operates under far looser rules. They offer help only when it's convenient. They show support when it costs them nothing. They defend only in situations where there's no personal risk involved. The most cutting truth of all, the Sigma male begins to see that he was never truly viewed as an equal partner in the relationship. Instead, he was a dependable fallback, the steady presence who could be relied on when others failed, yet whose own needs were never a priority. In that moment, his fierce loyalty feels less like a strength and more like a gift that was quietly exploited. Conclusion: the paradox of connection. For Sigma males, the decision to keep their guard up is not born from an inability to connect. It's a deliberate choice forged by experience. They do not shy away from intimacy because they're afraid of closeness. Rather, they have walked through the fire and misplaced trust enough times to understand the cost. Time and again, they have discovered that while vulnerability has the power to deepen bonds, it also has the potential to arm the wrong person with the means to hurt you. To a Sigma male, each moment of genuine openness carries the weight of risk. It feels less like sharing and more like placing a loaded weapon into someone else's hands, trusting they will never aim it at you. But too often, that trust is misplaced, and the very openness meant to foster understanding becomes a tool of betrayal. The takeaway is simple but powerful. Not every person you meet deserves a key to your inner world. Emotional access should be earned through consistent respect, loyalty, and reciprocity, not freely granted on the assumption of good intentions. Some doors are meant to stay locked, not as an act of fear or bitterness, but as a necessary form of self-preservation. In a world where intentions are not always pure, guarding your inner life is not weakness, it's wisdom. Do these ideas resonate with you? If you found yourself nodding along or reflecting deeply on the traits and experiences we explored in this video, I'd love to hear your thoughts. The Sigma male mindset isn't often talked about openly, and your perspective, whether you identify with it personally or have encountered it in others, adds valuable depth to the conversation. Drop a comment below and let me know which part hit home the most for you. Have you seen these traits in yourself or someone you know? Your insights help build a community where authenticity and growth are prioritized over popularity and performance. If you're drawn to this kind of introspective, no-nonsense content around Sigma males, psychological strength, emotional intelligence, and high-value living, there's more waiting for you. Explore the other videos on this channel for deeper dives, actionable insights, and raw truths that cut through the noise. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay sharp, stay grounded, and stay unapologetically real. Until next time.